If you're a videographer in the Sony system, then you know the A7S III is the best, hands down, video camera to buy. So why did I buy the A7 IV then? Hello, everyone. If this is your first time here, I'm Matt. I do videos on camera gear, motivation, tips, gear. Did I say gear?
Boy, if you don't get
Kind of just helping you guys learn more about the camera and helping you level up your game to where I'm at. Not like I'm the best, but I can help you with something. So which camera are you going with, the A7 IV or the A7S III? Let's crank the shutter to this video and get rolling. So this is what I meant by let's get it rolling. I gotta cut the grass. But the A7S III is definitely the final boss of video cameras for the Sony system. This camera comes with a flip out screen, 10-bit 422, 4K up to 120 frames, active steady shot, dual gain ISO, almost no rolling shutter, dual card slots with CF Express Type A on both of them, and a whopping 12.1 megapixel sensor. This camera is definitely jam-packed, and I would say it's the pick of the litter. So I'm gonna go cut the grass. I guess I'll see you guys on the inside when I am done. Bye. I don't think anyone will argue that the A7S III is the best video camera to get in the Sony system. So then why did I still get the A7 IV? Well, to start off, the A7 IV does have 10-bit 422 just like the A7S III. It also has dual card slot, but only one of those is CF Express, which is fine because I'm not gonna buy any CF Express Type A cards anytime soon because they only make them in 128 and I kinda wanna get 256 gigabytes if I'm gonna buy them, which I could see being over $500. So I'm gonna wait on those. If you do want an alternative, get a V90 Pro Grade 256 gigabytes. It does have active steady shot, and while the A7S III does 4K up to 120 frames, the A7 IV only does 60 frames in 4K with the famous crop that everyone deems to be a crutch, which, if I'm being honest, I don't really use slow motion, so it doesn't matter. If you feel the crop does crutch you in a way, then go ahead and save up for the A7S III. It's gonna save you all the headaches in the long run with that 120 frames, but there is workarounds. You can get the 10 to 18 f4, which is a crop sensor lens, as well as a 60mm crop sensor lens from Sigma. And you could use those as your tight shots if you needed slow motion in 60 frames. I'll give it to the A7S III though. The rolling shutter from what I've seen is tremendous. The A7 IV on the other hand is kind of the same like the A7 III, which is a camera I had beforehand. So I didn't really see a big difference of improvement, as where the A7S III pretty much has no rolling shutter. But you have to expect rolling shutter from a camera like this when it's downsampled from 7K to 4K. So you kind of have to pick and choose what goes into this camera because it's not their top of the line camera like the A1, which has all those features and some. So this is more of a budget, hybrid friendly camera. Obviously the price difference is more than $1,000 in US, and to me that's a big deal when you're buying gear as well as just other accessories for your camera like a small rig cage. I also needed the camera to do high quality photos. This camera has 33 megapixels, whereas the A7S III has 12.1. So you're not able to crop or really do much with that image. It's good for like social media and stuff, but if you're doing client work and you need that extra punch or you need to print things, then the A7 IV is gonna be a lot better than the A7S III in that way. The A7 IV does have breathing compensation. What that pretty much means is it gives it a crop and it lets you do smooth rack pulls. And I believe this is the only camera that does it. I don't think the A7S III at this moment of this video doesn't have an update on it, and the A1 neither. So this is kind of the only camera you could get that has breathing compensation as of now. But with the features and comparisons out of the way, I want to get to what I think about the camera from my personal use. Coming from the A7 III, I love how this camera fits in my hand. It is bigger. I believe it's the same size as the A7S III, which both have better grips than the A7 III. And on top of that, like I said before, I added a small rig cage, so it gives it an even more
thick grip, if you know what I mean.
If you do want a breakdown of my small rig and kind of what I'm going for, I could do a video. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think. Battery life is good. It's the same battery from the A7 III. While I do think the A7 III does better in the battery comparison as opposed to the A7 IV, I do believe it's because you do have a lot more high quality features on this camera versus the A7 III, like the 10-bit and the 4K up to 60 frames. So that kind of justifies why the battery might slack a little bit as opposed to the A7 III, but I don't have problems. Anytime I'm doing client shoots or anything, I don't seem to be reaching for another battery unless it's podcast stuff. One thing I do like a lot, considering I do a lot of hybrid work, is the front dial, the photo and video dial, and the settings are saved for both, so you have 3 settings for video and 3 settings for pictures, which is very handy when I'm doing video work and then a client all of a sudden says, hey, snap this picture of me. Oh sure man, I'll snap this picture of you. I believe this is the only camera on the Sony lineup that has it, so come on man, if you're a hybrid, A7S III, it's not the way. Yeah. I do like the shutter being able to close. I know when the camera first came out, people were touching the shutter and they had to send it back because of some issues and they were breaking the camera or breaking the shutter. But I don't find myself ever really touching the shutter. It's not like I touched the shutter beforehand when it was open, so that's not really a big issue for me. I do like having that feature, and if you don't like to have the shutter closed, then you don't have to. It's there as a feature if you want it though. The imaging mobile app is very good with this camera. They have a new system rolling with this one. It works fabulous. If you want to see a full in-depth video on the imaging app, go ahead and watch the first link down below. It's Terry Warfield. He's a fellow YouTuber and does a great job at explaining why the imaging mobile app is very good with the A7 IV as opposed to like the other cameras. Another part about the imaging app is that you can use it as a mobile transmitter. So pretty much you can get the signal rolling on your phone and then give it to a client or to someone that wants to watch it on the side, so that way they can see what's going on. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't really see a reason to buy the A7S III. I mean, like I said, it is a great camera. It does have dual ISO, which is great if you're doing a lot of low light, but I just find that if I'm doing low light, I just have to bring some extra lights and get the shot right, which kind of makes it more tedious, but also creative in a way, because now you have to implement lights to get the right lighting involved. And with the crutches that I've mentioned about the A7 III, it doesn't bug me. I haven't noticed myself using 60 frames that much as I thought I would. Don't get me wrong, if I had the money for the A7S III, I would buy it. So if you do have the money and you're not on a tight budget, go ahead and buy it, or buy both, since you have that much money, I guess. But as of right now, my A7 IV is my workhorse. It's my main camera. It's kind of my only camera because the only other camera I had is the ZV-1, and that is not with me right now. My girl currently has it. So this is the camera I'll be using for pretty much everything. And I'll definitely be keeping this camera at least until the A7iv comes out, which is probably gonna be like years later. So I'm not really too worried about the quality that I get with this. It's pretty much future-proofing me for the next couple of years, which is exactly what you would want from a camera. And to end this video, I just want to clarify one more time that if you do have the money, go ahead and buy it. I'm not saying don't buy it or the A7 IV is better. It is better for me. This is my personal experience, my personal opinion. The 33 megapixels is very tremendous. I love it, as well as the 10-bit 422. So in my use, I didn't see the crutches that everyone seems to think about this camera to be any negative reason to not buy this camera. If you do like the sound quality on this video, I am using a new mic. It is the Video Mic NTG. If you do want a video on that, comparing it to the Video Mic Go 2 and maybe a condenser mic like this one right here, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I'll do that next. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. If you want, drop your Instagram handle down below and I'll put a comment on your most recent post. Peace.